Hello, so I'm going to be here today to talk to you guys about my initial thoughts on Superman Unchained. It's going to be part of my little two-part review. My first one's going to be my initial thoughts on it, and my second part would be my actual thoughts after the whole thing is released. Currently, it's not released right now, but once I get it, I will discuss my full thoughts on it. But I'm going to give some of my initial thoughts on Superman Unchained. So when this was released, it was said that it was going to be written by Scott Snyder and it's going to be drawn by Jim Lee. And this drew a lot of hype, and I kind of didn't like the hype. You know, people were like, "Oh, it's Scott Snyder. He wrote Batman," and I thought that series was overhyped too. So I felt like a lot of hype was going into this, um, and I didn't want stuff from Batman to be in this. I wanted this to be a Superman story, and I wanted to feel like a Superman story. I don't want Batman stuff in this, which we'll get into. Um, so having Scott Snyder, I was kind of like iffy on it. And then there was Jim Lee, and I think Jim Lee is really he's overrated. Really, he's a good artist, but he's definitely not my favorite, nor would I consider him the best artist. But Jim Lee's a good artist, but I think his name also has a lot of hype. When people say Jim Lee, it definitely gets a lot of attention, and not attention that I like. So I thought this was gonna be like a really lame, hyped up comic. So I didn't really read it until 3 issues in, when I just finally gave in and said, it's Superman, so let's give it a shot. Um, so, what do I think of it for just a few first couple of issues? I think the story is okay. It seems like this is definitely a little bit more action packed, which is fine. I like that. The Superman that I really like is when overall, in the end, the Superman is that does the right thing. Man of Steel didn't really do this, but I'm referring to something like All-Star Superman or Kingdom Come, where in the end, Superman did the right thing. And I like those kind of stories. This so far seems to be a lot more emphasis on action. Now that's fine. I do like action. I love seeing Superman in action, and it seems like that's kind of like what this is trying to go for, and that is totally fine. The story is kind of like some kind of weird terrorist organization. There's this new Superman, extra Superman kind of thing, and there seems to be an anti-military thing, which is kind of cool. And there's also a terrorist organization too, which I think I mentioned already. And yeah, it's interesting opponents for Superman. I really like the Superman versus U.S. military. I think that element, I think, is probably my favorite one so far. So that's cool. So story's okay. Nothing too much. Again, once this is over, we'll see how it goes. So that's kind of how the story is. Not a bad story. Let's talk about the characters real quick. My initial character thoughts. So Superman, he's Superman. Again, nothing really complaining. It's portrayed well. There's Jimmy Olsen. Jimmy Olsen is a. I kind of wish he was a little more seriously because I think Scott Snyder's trying to make this a more uh, Jimmy Olsen you don't care as much. At least that's what I'm getting. But they're setting up Jimmy Olsen is going to be something really important. It's hinted. I don't want to spoil much, but it's hinted, and I'll see how that goes. And I think it's good that Jimmy Olsen's is seeming important because sometimes I feel like they're just throwing him aside. Anyways, so Jimmy Olsen's alright. Then there's Lois Lane. My first impression of Lois Lane is, what the hell is this? I don't like that she looks very sexualized, and that's something I don't like. The first time you look at her, she looks like some kind of a sex symbol. I don't want to say that, but yeah, and I kind of don't like that. At least I don't like within this Jim Lee artwork. This is a very sexualized Lois Lane, and again, I don't really like it because I feel Lois Lane shouldn't be this sexualized woman. I mean, she is very pretty, and she's very cute, but she doesn't seem like a character that should be sexualized, you know? So I don't like this more sexualized um, Lois Lane, even though she does look very attractive. I don't really like it, and it's just not right. Anyways, and then there's Lex Luthor, done well. Very cocky-ish, which is really good. So we'll see how that is. And then there's this new secondary Superman called Wrath, and or Wraith. I can't really pronounce it, but this totally reminds me of Court of Owls, as in this kind of this being that's supposedly better than the main hero who's been around for a long time, which is almost just like Corval's. You just get um, Corval's, put that element into Superman. This is basically what this guy is, really. So that's a little lame, but he's an interesting character. I thought he was going to be like this monster, but he's kind of not. So I'm curious to see how he's going to play out in the end. So he's actually not a bad character, even though his origin is a little lame. But yeah, we'll see how that is. Um, the U.S. military is definitely probably one of my favorite. That's with this Unchained story. How they're so mysterious. They're really rude, and they're just like totally set up as bad guys for Superman, and I really like that. That's one of my favorite things. The Ascension villain, this terrorist organization, they seem pretty stock from what I've seen so far. They're kind of creepy, which I like that, but they're really stock. Um, but again, I'll see how it goes. So that's my initial thoughts. It's not a bad thing. It's not that bad. This is supposedly for the 75th anniversary of Superman, which again I like. So in the end, I really hope there's gonna be this Superman appreciation in the end, or something that makes you love Superman. Like how some stories make you love the main hero in the end, which I really like that. So okay so far, sets up pretty good. And yeah, that's just my initial thoughts, and we'll come back when this series is over in about a few months. That's all. Thank you very much, and I'll see you later.